All right, guys. Fourth time's a charm recording this. So it's been a rough night. Recording this 4 times in a row. Been a few mistakes, a few mishaps, some muted mics, but we think we finally have it. So we are playing a another like Simic ramp style deck today. It's different than the one from before. I know you guys have seen me play the Bant ramp and the mass manipulation decks. So some of the thing that's a little bit different here is we're running 2 less Paradise Druid and we're running 4 Growth Spirals instead. So typically we're only running 2 of the Growth Spirals. We're also running, this is supposed to be 4 Jadelight Rangers, but I only have 3 of them. So we replace it with just another random Explorer. The Branchwalker, it's just a cheap one. It's a little bit less effective, but still kind of fills that same role of letting us cycle through the deck. And one of the reasons we're running this deck today is I've been facing a lot of Grixis on the ladder, so we're kind of evolving to fight that. And this deck runs 4 Tamiyo in the main deck. So the win condition is the same as some of the other decks. We're trying to get our Nissa out to flood the board with lands that are creatures, trying to pump up our Krasis really big with Nissa's passive that's doubling our forest. And if we go late enough, we have the mass manipulations to steal your planeswalkers, steal your creatures. So it's a lot of the same stuff, just a different little spin on it. The sideboard is pretty different this time. So if we look over here, one thing you'll notice that the main deck is not running is the Frilled Mystics like my mass manipulation deck runs. We're not running any counters. We're just kind of concerned about ourselves, getting ourselves pumped up, getting ourselves strong. So the negates are in the sideboard for some of those later decks, but we're not running anything in the main deck. The Thorn Lieutenants, I'm not a big fan of. We figured we would try them though. A lot of people like them. We got our Brontodons as always. The Ripjaw Raptors that we love. I wish I had 2 more of these, but I don't have the wild cards right now. And they're cycling out in the end of August, so I'm not sure if I want to craft them or not. Hopefully in the new 2020 set that releases on the 6th, we get a reprint of these. All the reprints are coming out right now, so I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully they're reprinting the Brontodon, so that's really nice. But I haven't seen the Raptor coming back yet, which kind of sucks because that's one of my favorite cards that we currently have in rotation. Another card that you don't see a lot of is this River's Rebuke card. It's starting to gain some traction. Not a lot of people play it. There's a lot of discussion about it on our spikes on Reddit about people talking about when it's good. I like it. It's pulled me out of positions that were unwinnable given any other card I had. Like mass manipulation wouldn't have been able to pull me back. It kind of just resets the board, tosses back all their planeswalkers. It's helped me against White Weenie and like because they tend to be token heavy, and this sends them all back and destroys them. So, and White Weenie typically doesn't have that many lands out. They have like 4 or 5. So I really like this River's Rebuke in the sideboard. I'm thinking I'm gonna take out probably 2 Thorn Lieutenants for Entrancing Melodies, and then at that point we'd only have 1. So I'd probably take out the last one for a 4th Negate or something along those lines. But let's just get right into our game today. So this is a pretty quick one. We're facing Gruul. Gruul's a ton of fun to face. I wish I had the cards to make it. I'm missing like 6 or 7 cards to make Gruul. I think it's a lot of fun. It's different. A lot of people are Planeswalker heavy right now. Gruul is very creature heavy. And it's more of a mid-game deck. If you're looking for that good mid-game deck, because you don't want to play mono red, I definitely recommend Gruul. I have some friends that play it. They enjoy it a lot. It just looks like a ton of fun. There's some decision making you can do in there. And it plays pretty quickly with your guardians that dig through your deck and things like that. So we have a pretty decent hand here. We can ramp right into Nissa. All we do is have to draw a land on our 3rd turn, and we can get Nissa out on turn 3, which is really good considering she's a 5 land card. Which we top deck our land, which happens a lot given we have 26 lands in the deck. You can pretty much count on top decking a land most of the time. So get our Nissa out early, transform our land, and just start going to town. And we're already looking pretty good. We can get a decent-sized Krasis out given Nissa's passive, but he just concedes. So, which is nice because we pretty much had that game in the bag. He doesn't have any board wipes or anything like that. So, as I said, Gruul's like a faster deck. So we want to speed up our deck a little bit. He's probably going to slow his deck down a little bit. So, which works out in our favor. So we're taking out the growth spirals because we'd rather just draw a card right then and there to be able to play it. Like we want to just draw a Raptor and be able to play it. If we had a growth spiral, we'd draw the growth spiral, have to play the growth spiral, then draw the Raptor, wait until next turn to play it because we probably won't have the mana. So we get the growth spirals out because they're too slow. We get out the mass manipulations because they're too slow. And we replace them with entrancing melodies. And this is where I wish I had 3 or 4 entrancing melodies to just totally swap out the mass manipulations for. As you see, I start to put the Brontodons in, and then I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, all of his guys have 4 power. The Brontodon only has 4 health. So he's just going to get eaten alive. He's not going to really be able to stall out. If best, he just saves me from taking 4 damage for 1 turn. Unlike the Raptor that has 5 health, that's going to be able to eat a lot of his 4/4 guys, which is most of his deck. So we take the Brontodons, put them back in the sideboard, move the Negates into the deck. He's going to play some Planeswalkers now because, like I say, he's trying to slow his deck down. He knows the game's going to go a little bit longer. That allows him to play those Planeswalkers. And so I want to kind of prepare for that and predict that. So we put in just 2 Negates to try and stop that because he doesn't have a lot of spells. We don't want to put in all 4. Typically, if you have 4 of the same card in your deck, you're hoping to get that card early game and mid game. If you're running 3, you want to hopefully get it by mid game, and anything 2 or less, you're like, I don't really need this until late game. So we only just put in 2 just in case, which I do draw 1. So thank God we only have 2 because I don't want to draw any more after that 1. We're only expecting to need 1. This hand's not that great. It'd be nice if we had a breeding pool or a forest to just throw that Llanowar Elf out on the first turn. That's kind of like the perfect hand if we can get a Llanowar Elf first turn, Paradise Druid turn 2, and just keep ramping that way. But doesn't work out. So we just go straight for the Paradise Druid, and he brings out a Chain Whirler, which this game is pretty much over at this point. We have 2 dead draws in our hand, being the Tamiyos. Not that great against Gruul. They're very good at taking out Planeswalker decks. We don't have that many blockers. We have to sacrifice a lot of our mana dorks to block for our Planeswalker, which is fine later in the game, but early in the game we really rely on those to ramp. So if we're not using them to ramp and we're using them to blockers, we're already losing. There's the Planeswalker he brought in, and so that we were expecting and we were hoping to negate, but since he had the Goblin Chain Whirler, he kind of stopped that. I bring out the Tamiyo. The only way we can win now is by pulling that Entrancing Melody, which I was having a real hard time spelling. As you can tell, couldn't spell today, couldn't record this video today, could barely play Magic today. I believe we went even. We lost at the beginning of the night, won a little bit later. I was trying to play some Is It Phoenix today. I've played a lot of Is It Phoenix in the past, but today just wasn't working out. I'm not sure how. That's like the second best deck right now is It Phoenix. I don't know. I've played it quite a bit in War, and I lose a lot since the newest pack has dropped. So, but yeah, we didn't get our Entrancing Melody, and so we just conceded. We like what we did with the sideboard last time. Should have taken out our Tamiyo because, like we said, it was a dead draw. Just forgot. Sometimes I can play too quickly, and I'm just like excited to get into the next game, and I'll forget to do that second sideboard and take out some of the things I didn't like. So something I'm still trying to improve on. So this hand's pretty good. We have our 3 lands. We have a Paradise Druid, so we can ramp right into our Krasis, or hopefully we draw one of our 8 Planeswalkers and we can ramp right into there. So just waiting for him to play. And we get our Raptor. This is perfect. So we have our Jadelight Ranger to kind of churn through our deck. We have our Raptor to help block, and an Entrancing Melody. If we get into a lot of trouble, we can steal one of his big guys. So we're looking pretty good. And we just keep ramping. We just toss the Raptor out, and this is where that 5 health comes in handy, because he can only pump his Growth Chamber Guardian to 4. The Raptor can just tank it and kill it, given it that it's a 4/5. So the Raptor is great against mono red, because a lot of times mono red can't deal with the 5 health, or if they can, you get to draw 2 cards, because they'll hit it with like a 2/2 monster and then lightning strike it, which does 5 damage to it, but you get to draw 2 cards off it. As you can see, his Gruul Spellbreaker is also maxes out at 4. So, and we want to keep the Krasis, because right now we'll have 4. We'll be able to have 4 lands out, so we can pump it to, or we have 6 lands out. We can pump it to a 4/4, draw us 2 cards, heal us out a little bit. So he does play a Rekindling Phoenix, which is difficult for us to deal with if we didn't have the Entrancing Melody. But given that we do, we're not too worried about it. We're just going to steal it right here. Plus, we have our Krasis to block the Phoenix if we couldn't. The only problem right now is, like I said, we can only pump our Krasis to a 4/4, which the Phoenix will just trade with it and then come back next turn. So we'd be losing value. So we want to hold that Krasis until we can pump it to a 5/5 to tank the Phoenix. So, which we have plenty of life to do it. We have 18 life. He's only going to be chunking us for 4 at a time if we didn't steal the Phoenix. But luckily we did, so we don't have to worry about that. Top deck into a Nissa, which is perfect, because now we can get out a huge Krasis next turn. So the game's pretty much, we're feeling like it's in the bag at this point. As long as he can't deal with the Nissa, we can use her passive next turn to get out Krasis that is easily strong enough to deal with his Phoenix. I do misplay here, though. He swings in with his Phoenix, and for some reason I block, which there was no need to. He swings in onto my Nissa, which I should have just let him hit the Nissa. I would have dropped my Nissa down to 2 points, which is fine, because we're not trying to transform the Nissa with her -8 anyways. And that would have left me with a Phoenix up. So here's the misplay. I block. There was literally no reason to do that. And now I lose my Phoenix. He'll get his Phoenix back at the end of the turn, or at the beginning of his next turn. But it's not a big deal, because here I can get out a 10/10 Krasis, which is great. Reheals us for 5 health and refills our hand with 5 cards. So the game's pretty much over at this point. He's supposed to have the advantage right now, but we've had the advantage pretty much since the beginning of this game. And as a deck that scales harder, there's really no coming back from him, because we're just going to constantly be getting more value every turn than he is. So here, as you can see, I tap all my land manually, just so I didn't have to count it. And we get out that 10/10 Krasis. And we were digging for that mass manipulation. Pretty much once I saw that, the game's for sure over. The next turn's going to come around, and I'll be able to steal all of his creatures and just swing in for the win. So this was the first game I played of this variant of this deck. I liked it. I'm going to definitely play it more tomorrow. I want to make those sideboard changes, like I said, adding some Entrancing Melodies, taking out those Thorn Lieutenants. So we'll see how that goes. If you want, you can find the deck list down below. It's also, the variant is on MTG Goldfish, but like I said, I made some changes that I think fit the meta better. If you want to try those out, the only thing from the deck list that is I would change on mine is if you have 4 Jadelight Rangers, definitely put 4 of those in. I only had the 3, so I have to have a random Merfolk Branchwalker. But here I come out with the mass manipulation. He has 4 creatures, so I'm just going to say, like, all right, let's try and steal all 4. I do have the mana for it. And I take them all, and the game is just over at that point. There's no coming back for him, and he realizes that, and he just concedes, which saves us time. So, this mass manipulation, I've definitely will be playing like any variety I can play of it. There's also a Bant one out right now, which I may try soon. But I'm trying to get some different decks out there for you guys to watch me play and hopefully learn from. So I'm trying to get an Is It Phoenix one out. But if you guys have any comments for like feedback of how I can improve or some decks you'd like to see, please comment below and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys.